All right. We are all live. Dr. Tulu, take it away.
I don't think we live with Elijah. We live?
We are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Again, we want to welcome our viewer to another edition of my Lutheran Connection podcast. Today, the last Sunday in the month, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very on the church calendar. What is today? Sunday,
Today is sixth Sunday of Easter.
the 6th of Easter. Okay, that's good. So this is the 6th of Easter. I want to welcome. We're celebrating Easter. Want to welcome our viewer out there in Liberia, in the US, wherever you are. I want to welcome you to another edition of my Lutheran Connection podcast. Today I have with me Elijah, our co-host from the Twin City, St. Paul, or Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin City. From Minnesota, you will have our own Reverend, Reverend Smoke Coconut. We want to welcome you. And also to our Reverend will be graduating. I saw the invitation. We want to congratulate you. We'll dive into that also too on the show to hear more about that graduation. That's our Lutheran graduation. We have to come to give our support to our own. They say there's a power in knowledge. So today we have the proposed National Lutheran Youth Conference. If you are in the chat room yesterday, it was very hot. It was discussing when it comes to the proposed national conference about what I've been discussed on the platform to before when we host one of our own Sister Goya, and then he laid down some fundamental fact when it comes to Lutheran Church in Liberia with the what some of the critical questions that were asked during that time. I think Elijah can also dive into that. Was there a exit strategy that was laid out with the missionary were leaving the scene to turn it over to the local? If there was one, what already happened even before the war, we saw Lutheran infrastructure going down the drain. Then the war came and got into it again. So we'll get back to that discussion again. So let me welcome in studio we have. And then with it is around, probably he will join all. And our sister couple city also too will probably join, but want to start the discussion. So Elijah, let me hear from your side. What is going on?
Well, we are down here in the Twin City. We have a very good weather here today. The sun is shining. You don't want to be indoor, but unfortunately, I have to be sitting here right now and doing this. So, but the weather is good. Tomorrow again is Memorial Day, so we have already a long weekend. So we don't get to go to work until I don't get to go to work, but until Tuesday. So that's super cool. So we can take up that time to do other stuff. But yeah, we're doing great down here, and we're looking forward to a great conversation. And like you said, it's so unfortunate that we can't get our speakers up here today, people that we invited to the show to kind of dive into this conversation because there were already a lot of things going on the social media that prompted us to invite Dr. Jala to come to the show. So at least we can have this roundtable conversation along with him as it relates to the start of our church and the issue of missionary drawdown and why is our church struggling at this time. But I will stop right there, maybe for Reverend Smoke. I'm going to introduce himself and then we can get into the conversation.
So let do order. Elijah, can you help to share the show for in my Lutheran Connection podcast? I don't know if we are on. I don't know if we are live.
Yeah,
But I
we
see
are
we live.
live.
We
We
live.
have gone
We are
for
live.
I'm
we have
not.
gone
I'm not.
live for 4 minutes and 58 seconds.
I'm not
So
seeing the
yeah,
I'm
network.
gonna
5 minutes now.
I am gonna share it, don't worry.
I
Keep going.
normally see the network share it, but I don't see it coming up. You know.
You know whether you should share it in the group. So I'm gonna go to live and then try to share it in there.
Yeah, try to share for us so our viewer can so we can get more viewer to participate in the project. Very,
No
you
worries.
Yeah.
wearing
Um.
you wearing that shit. What is going on? Memorial Day weekend.
This is not ordinary Duchess. Okay, Reverend Sumo P. Kokoro, and in the Twin City, just as Elijah is, um, part of the Twin City, in St. Paul specifically, not in Minneapolis, but we are still in the same capital of Minnesota. And as you said, basically the weather is a very cool weather, a hot weather. Actually, I needed to have been outdoor myself, but I'm just because of this, and um, we hope to have better conversation today on the topic, on the discussion.
Okay, Reverend, thank you. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, we are live now. I can see it now on my podcast now. So Elijah just share all my Lutheran connection, so our other viewers from Liberia can try to tune in, and also too. Reverend, you let me come to Reverend. Reverend,
Yep.
you been ordained pastor for the
Yeah.
Lutheran in the Lutheran Church of Liberia. How long ministry you been? How long been ordained now?
I was ordained on the 30th of April 2017. So basically, like 8 years now in the ministry. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a vast experience. And before you were ordained
Before I
to
was ordained, I have been serving as evangelist long time, working, even hailing congregation,
know,
Um, but those ones are not counted. Even when I was in seminary, if you hear about All Saints, there I started my ministry from, and I started work from All Saints from 2011 until I was ordained. Even though I left a certain time to go on internship. After my internship before ordination, I was still there until I was ordained and assigned to serve. So, but from 2011, I have been actively working as a minister of the church.
we hear in the
Even though
background noise, just turn on your studio. Elijah already shared that in my Lutheran connection. So
my background is not noisy.
yeah, so Reverend, the reason
Yeah.
why I asked that question, your year of service from the time you ordained and before you become ordained, you follow the trail of the Lutheran Church in Liberia before the war. We saw we have one of the best high school in Liberia, our premier institution, and our premier institution were built on the pillar of the missionary.
Mm-hmm.
And when the missionary tried to exit the scene, we saw decline in our Lutheran infrastructure. The Lutheran mission, the other places went down. Right in before my eye, in my hometown, the Lutheran mission was closed down. And LTL was the only premier institution we had before the war. And then the war came, even before the war, we saw KP and other Lutheran institutions were even down. We don't know for what reason, because of financial constraint the church was facing, and our institution went down. The war came also to out of it. And then the issue of the bishop election that bring division in the church, a whole lot of stuff that been going on. And that's the reason why some of the diehard Lutheran, property of Lutheran, saw the need that there's a need for us to have a national conference to discuss some of the things that affect the church. That have to be on our actual Lutheran convention that we have. But this conference to address some of the issues that affect the church, the growth of the church, why our church is not making a significant growth among other mainland faith Lutheran churches when we compare ourselves with the Methodists, the Episcopalian, the Catholic, and all of things. But why are we still lacking behind? And that's the reason why Mr. Goya wanted to show some time ago, he talked about the proposed Lutheran conference to discuss the issue. Hosted Leo Johnson on the show some time ago to an entrepreneur was very good at fundraising. He doing extremely well in Liberia with Empowerment Square, and and he came on the show. He said the same thing again, and we are struggling when the Lutheran University issue came on again. So whole lot of stuff I've been going on. So that's why we here going to discuss the issue again, Reverend. What is your thought? What are some of the historical background that you have, that you could add to bring enlightenment to this discussion when it comes to the proposed National Lutheran Conference?
You know, even though prior to the war, our institutions we had some struggle, but it was not. It was still manageable. We were still managing things. That also Lutheran Mission was still standing, and even Total. But I think some of the challenges we have is that we change that especially when it comes to the school, we changed from there were some changes we made after the war that I think is also affecting us. For instance,
So,
it's also looking.
Larry, let me just hold you
Are
there.
you getting?
I
Mm.
can hold you. Let me just hold you there. We're having a round to a discussion, right? Elijah can be chopping you also too. The
Yeah.
before the war, right? The total
Mm.
when the missionary left, the total Lutheran
Mhm.
mission were closed down.
Okay.
They were closed down completely. Then later on, they tried to have a day school, to run a day like a day school program. I think they were kind of a little bit struggling. Then before, after the war down, they reopened it, they carried back, they pushed it to high school. But it had been a
Yeah.
struggling stage.
Yeah. Those schools were actually meant to be like a feeder school for LTI.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were feeding LTI like it's also Lutheran Mission was just starting to grade 9, and then you get to you get your promotion to grade 10 before you go. Grade 9 before you go to LTI, and they were feeder schools to LTI, and but after the war, we see that all of them has become like a high school by themselves, and so it's become difficult time also. We want to run a high school everywhere, and so LTI basically does not have the kind of they not was not getting the kind of students that they need, and besides again the quality of education provided by LTI prior to the war has not been, and even the renovation process at LTI have not really been. Not all of the building, as we can see today, not all of the building has renovated, and that's why we are struggling. I mean, that's some of the things that we are struggling. But I really embrace the all Lutheran conference. Um, now some of these things that we think that we are struggling with, how can we go about to handle them? We still have the opportunity. We have the properties. It's just it's just to design how well we can be able to manage them, right?
yeah,
And because we are not managing them, properly, that's why even we see that there are being encroachment on many of our lands. So we have a lot of lands that we are not using. For instance, um, the Luyama Konya parish land is about 500 acres of land, right? That land is just there. Nobody using it. Other people are doing them. They have pollinated all of the trees from that forest. So those things that we should have had as resources also to help us do some other things. So what we really need to do is maybe we just uh, invest also in the soil for those places that we are not using. And, and if we can meet as a church to have that conference, I think we can design a lot of things that we can be able to do for our church. But it just need that we be honest to ourselves and be and live with integrity. I mean, to be able to manage our own properties. But we have a lot of qualified people in the church. We didn't have to struggle actually. We have the human resources. Even though there's, people that there are a lot of Lutherans who are medical doctors, there are those who are educators, but just think about engineers. We have them. All we
yeah.
need to do is we really organize ourselves, how we can make use of our own self, and what are the strategies we can put in place, and uh, 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 and And that's why innovation comes in, right? How can we make use of what we have? What are the new ways? Um, what are the old ways we are doing and we are not succeeding? What are some other new things that we can introduce that can be able to help us to move forward? Because if we are be doing this thing over and over and we are not succeeding, then it means we need not to do it. If we were doing it before and succeeding, and we are not succeeding now, then it means we have to change to another thing. We have to change to another way that it will help us to move and then be competitive with other institutions
Uh,
uh, to,
definitely
to,
so.
to, to, to move forward. So that is why innovation comes in. We just need to think. It's just that innovation is just making use of what you have in a new form. You know. So
But Elijah, let me get hold of you. You always say there's no brain drain in the Lutheran Church in Liberia. But
which is a fact. Yeah.
what are we struggling? When we have all those educated technocrats or very small are talking about. But
Uh,
we're not using our own?
uh, Dr. Toto, thank you very much for that question. And I think I want to look at this situation and term it as a church with a missed opportunity, right? A church with a missed opportunity.
It's opportunity. That's a very big one.
Yeah, a church with a missed opportunity. What do I say that? When the missionaries came to Liberia, so even up to today, the colonization masters of the Lutheran Church in Liberia would say the ELCA. That's what we are called. We are called the Lutheran Church in Liberia. So, like an extension of the ELCA from here in Liberia, we're not like the Lutheran Church in Lutheran Church of Liberia, but we are in Liberia. So it means that we are not our own. We have an extension somewhere. That is the ELC, and that's how we call ourselves Lutheran Church in Liberia. We are not of Liberia. So we say we are independent, but we are in Liberia, like we also in Guinea, or we also in Ivory Coast, we also over there. So like we got our bodies spread all over the place. We have a parent body somewhere, and which of course is the ELCA. When I said that we have a church of a missed opportunity, when the church was in its missionary era, um, we had um, we had missionary running the church, and some of the missionaries that left from here, as we all now living in America, we know exactly when missionaries leave from here and come to Africa, they're going to work just as they work here as well. So everybody looking for livelihood for they and their families. So most of our institutions back then, they were being run by these missionaries that had the passion, the drive, and had the support to raise money for these institutions. So that take for an instant, one of the institutions that I want to bring on a case study, the Literacy Center, the Louis T. Bauer Lay Minister Training Center. The idea of these ministry of that ministry of translation in Total, it was birthed by Reverend Bauer, who loved it and found money and started the translation work in the LCL, and then started training lay people to translate and preach the gospel in their local languages. So those who worked along with him, they began trained, they knew how to translate the Bible. But then one of the things that we're not looking at is the connection part and the sustainability part of this program. And then then also Phoebe Hospital again. That's one of our case study. Phoebe Hospital. It was established. It was being run by the missionary. But then it came to a point where the missionaries were leaving, and then they started. We did not have enough trained Liberians to take over the church. That's one of the reasons why Dr. Gwendolyn got to spend forever at Phoebe, as if he was the only Liberian or the Lutheran that could be a medical doctor in Liberia. So there was no possible successor trained in the LCL to take over from that when he passed away or after he was retired from Phoebe.
So Elijah. So are
I'm
you
coming.
saying that are you saying that the missionary did not train people to take over?
No, the missionary trained people, but the people they trained, the Liberians they trained,
Okay.
did not take upon themselves to train successors, that will continue to run these organizations or institutions after them. So, like the lay training center, the translation center, like the Phoebe Hospital. Today, we are seeing the aftermath of those things because we did not train nationals who would be capable to run this institution as compared, because just running an institution is not just getting into the office and sitting behind a desk and giving instruction. It has to do with the sustainability of that institution, your networking ability. So as the missionaries are here, they train those people. They train them on how to do some of those things, but how did they pass down over to the young people that were coming after them? Now let's come to the LCL as a whole. Bishops.
Elijah, just hold on 1 second. Do we have somebody in the background? In our waiting room?
Let me see.
Matthias, the Reverend, the Lily, Reverend Quebec.
I don't see anybody in the background.
Okay, because I can point it. Continue.
Okay, Elijah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
let me
coming.
just.
I'm coming right in focus before you come.
Elijah.
So let me come to what I said, a missed opportunity, right? Bishop Harris, peace be unto his ashes. He's on record of being the only bishop that initiated training of local pastors up to master level, and some of them now today have a doctorate degree within the LCL. That credit goes to Bishop Harris. Why the credit goes to him? Because he led a church for over 17 years, from like during the war and the post-war time. He was the leader of the church. Where did the LCL miss the opportunity that our institutions are struggling today? Now, like the LDS.
Elijah, let's try the salvation fast while we're moving on. So, during Bishop this time, so there were no pastors that take a master degree during Bishop this time.
Maybe you can point one to me. I don't know, but
I think the only person at that time doing Bishop, the person I remember doing Bishop this time that club that came to the States for studies was
Topasongo. But the very Bishop Harris also to travel during Bishop this time too.
Yeah.
This is no. I'm not saying that there was no pastor train. I'm saying the most trained a local pastor to master level. Bishop Harris was the one who is credited with training most of the pastor. Okay. So before Bishop Harris, we never had like 2 or 3. We never had like 5, 4, 6, 7 master degree holders in the LCL that was trained.
Was there a lot of pastors in ministry at that time?
There were a lot of pastors in ministry. My dad was in ministry. Reverend what the man Reverend Nusha was in ministry. Reverend Allison.
So what was the maybe it was different time at a different season also too, in terms of giving people the opportunity to travel at that time. Maybe it was some process that was not available today at that time as compared to Bishop Bredo time.
That could be
a conversation. That flow.
Yeah, that could be another. Maybe that could be a fighter. You can say maybe that was a fighter, but I don't think that was a stumbling block for people not being trained. It was a missed opportunity because people were not looking at the vision and the sustainability of the church after the missionaries left. Now, during Bishop Harris's administration, right during and after the war. After the war, the LCL, that we're talking about LTL were burned 3 times and renovated 3 times after the war. 3 times after the war, LTL was renovated. But you go to
Current Hospital.
Yeah, Current Hospital, LTL, they were renovated three times after it was burned down. But if you went to LTR today, the structures are there. But what are we struggling with? Management. What are we struggling with? Financial sustainability of that institution. The LCL, we say we write project. The LCL central office can agree with me or they can disagree with me. They know very well that the central office survive on all of the projects within the LCL. They have overheads and administrative costs for all of the projects within the LCL. And when you have budget shortfall within the LCL, project steps in and fill out those places and move ahead. When it was raining, no, when the sun was shining in the LCO, we had the reconstruction project, we had trauma healing, we had HIV and AIDS, we had all the institutions that were booming in the LCO. How did we prepare for the rainy season? How did we prepare for the rainy season? Not a singular organization in the LCO was preparing for the rainy season. So because we did not prepare for the rainy season, partners are now withdrawing their support, and then we come and say, the partner did not train the other people, they not train. Oh, we
No, no
should
exit
just
strategy.
that. Yeah, we did not put into play any exit strategy. We did not put into place any sustainability strategy. And because the church lacks vision at the time, and today we are now talking about, why are we struggling? What are we struggling?
Elijah,
The vision was not put into place.
Elijah, let me hold you there. Let me try to pick it. Let me try to pick them out of very small. Very small. Elijah said best
Yeah,
opportunity. Elijah said best opportunity for
yeah,
what, what are your
yeah.
thoughts?
I think that the mistakes that we made was, as he said, when things were really moving well with us, we
Very
forgot to
let me
prepare for it.
Reverend, let me
We
just make the announcement quick to our viewer out there. This is a roundtable discussion. We discussing the future of the Lutheran Church. If you want to call in to participate, the number is on the screen. You can call, and then we will have you on the show. Or you want to post question in the chat for us or the panel to address. You can post your question. Reverend can continue.
now when there was really the sun was really shining, when we had all of the institution booming, as he said, that was the time we should have prepared that there will be drought one day. But we forgot and we did not really some of those things. And again, um, even with the institution, the missionaries they did extremely well. There are some institutions they didn't just build them and leave them, but they created some other things that if managed well for sustainability. For instance, LTR has a palm farm, right? They planted some palms so that LTR could those things will help LTR in the future. Now, even after the war, we did not. I know that those palms are very old, you know, but it can still be used and can produce some other things that we can be able to depend on while building and then planting another palms for the future. The same thing with Zaza. When I went to Zaza, let me tell you, let me just give you a short story. When I went to Zaza, that palm, all the palms, the palm farm is also right. It was just telling that it was not even being on a brush. I went and we took some other project. The first time I organized entire parish, people coming from Zoro and a lot, I mean say Kilugu and Jela Kala, Yela, we all met to that place and honor brush and started honor brushing the farm. The first time we harvested, we got 120 some more thing of oil, right? And my plan was, and it didn't materialize now until I left. My plan was that we were going to be using that farm while it is there. Then we using the other vacant lands to plant new palms. As those ones are getting ready to have to be harvested, then we cutting down the old ones and then replanting also what another palm. By that time we already have another one that's supplying the farming the rebuilding of the replanting of the old farm. That was the plan, that was the vision I really had, but it did not happen until I left from Southern. So some of these things, those palm, even Tutota have palm farm, but they're not making use of it. Everything is just standing there like that. People can use rope and climb on those trees to harvest palm. The palms right there, they are still producing. But everywhere we sit down and look, as if we have nothing, or the missionary did not leave anything that we can be able to use to manage some of those properties. I mean,
That's good.
we
Yeah,
just have to.
you know.
We really have to. So these are some of the things that we still have them. I mean, they are old enough, but they can still give us something. If we can just use it wisely, it can help us to plant some other palms
Mm.
or new ones, and then in the future, those one can help us to in the management of our properties.
So,
But if we just sit down and look at everything will just go down to the drain.
so Reverend,
You know?
before I get to Elijah, so
Yeah.
looking at all what have been discussed so far, and look at the need to have a national dialogue to address some of the concerns that you raised and that have been raised in the past. Do you think we need a national conference to address the concern? If so, why you think we need a national conference?
Is that
Reverend,
Okay.
for
Reverend,
All right.
stop on it. Yeah.
And for me, the reason why I think we need a national conference, because all of us, you have different thought, you have different knowledge, different ideas that you can introduce. And I have different thought, different ideas. You know, we don't everybody, all of us, we don't think the same way. We think differently, or things are innovative to see how we can bring some ideas about. And if we meet as a national church, and people bring all of these things to we put up their views, and then we have a committee that we look at the best things among those ideas that we bring out, and then see how we can push these ideas forward to help us rebuild our church, or restructure our church, and in managing our institutions. It would be a better thing. The lay people got ideas. Pastors have ideas. Every one of us, we have something that God has placed in us that we can be able to put on that table if we just meet as people that we can bring together, that will help us to restructure our church, to remobilize us, that we can be able to move our church further.
Yeah, that's
I think
good.
that's what we need. We need a conference, because
Yeah.
all of us got something in our head, in our mind, that we can be able to do. While we are struggling like this, everybody's thinking about LCL right now. Why is our church going like this? And while we are thinking, ideas are coming to us.
Yep.
Yeah, ideas are coming to us as to what to do. But if we don't have a gathering that we can put those ideas for, we remain sitting down with it, and with them, and we die with them. But if we come together, we are able to put them through, and there will even be a history. And one thing we should do, I think, I mean, those things could be recorded. Those ideas could be recorded, could even feature references, so that those who will come after us, they will see them and know what we did, what we did. But if we don't do it, we will be questionable tomorrow.
Yep. Elijah, missed opportunity. How can we correct the missed opportunity? Is it through a national conference, or what are your or what is your view? How do we correct the missed opportunity?
you know Reverend, I'm gonna call you Reverend now. I'm making you a Reverend now, that a total.
I'm probably going to see me there. I'm going to see me there. Now. You know, well, this back, I was in Atlanta. Let me just share the quick. I was in Atlanta last week. I went for a graduation, and then somebody also called me Rary. I said,
I think
I'm
I'm thinking about going to seminary.
I'm Rary. They started laughing. They said, "Oh, I said I'm not Rary." You know, but go ahead. Yeah.
Um, Dr. Total, the issue of having a national conference is very much important to the sustainability and vision and crafting a vision for the LCO. Like I can always say that the LCO is not brain drained. We have technical people in the LCO. We have people with practical knowledge on how an institution can survive in the midst of crisis. We have people that are running institutions within the LCL. So we have people working in government that are making the difference in government today that are Lutherans. If you do not reach out to these people and ask them and to help cultivate their talent, not cultivate the talent, but tap into the talent that they have to bring it to the LCL to help the LCL move forward. These people will be doing what they know they are doing best and look at you struggle. If you don't reach out to people, they will not come to you. You have to look as like I can attribute the lack of the struggling in the LCL today. I can attribute that to a lack of vision of our leaders. Or also I can attribute it to self-centeredness or corruption. If a leader comes into power and he or she believes that he can depend on his own knowledge to run an institution without listening to the people that you are working with, you are doomed to fail. As a leader, when you are overseeing an institution, you are going to lead professionals because there are different components within or departments within that institution that you have no knowledge of. So if you see yourself as the Superman with all of the knowledge to run the institution exclusively, you are doomed to fail. And I think we are seeing that kind of thing in the LCL and other institutions in Liberia, where we look at the leader as the Alpha and Omega. What he or she says is what we go by. We see people go into executive council meeting and say, oh, yeah, the executive council make a decision. I was in executive council before. And I saw how some of the things play out in executive council meeting where everybody is so say one, so say all. And there's no one standing up to the leader to say the decision you are imposing on us is not right. Because people.
Let me just interrupt Robbie. You are taking me to my next question now or discussion. So say you brought the executive council, let me just throw that in so you can talk about it also too. That will come to Rary. In the chat room, in my Lutheran Connection chat room yesterday, while discussing the issue. But I hope he listening or he can call in or clarify a comment he made that they not I'd appreciate. But that's what John said they proposed a conference that we're talking about. They're gonna take the work of the executive council.
Mm-hmm.
So his argument is like maybe we don't need the conference over the executive council. If we had a conference, you take the function. You take the function of the executive council. So that was a comment. So is a conference going to interfere with the work of the executive council? The proposed conference?
Now you see, this is the thing. The the conference cannot be held in the LCL without the consent of the leadership of the LCL. So if you want to have any leadership or you want to have any developmental conference or strategic planning section for the LCL, it has to go to the leader of the church, who is the bishop of our church. The bishop got to be in on this, and he in turn going to take that decision to the executive council. The executive council look at the pros and cons, what the church tend to benefit from this conference when held, and then the executive council approves the process. And so that's the problem some of our institutions have as compared to others, because we have this whole bureaucratic system in our church. We have the hierarchy system of administration in our church. So you cannot just move. A single person cannot just move within the church and say, oh, I'm going to have this conference and it's going to be held XYZ to benefit the LCL. No, you got to have the support of the LCL leadership, and that comprises of from the bishop to the executive council. If it is something that the executive council thinks that they can make a decision on, they want to put it on pause and bring it to convention, and it comes to convention, which is the highest decision making body of the LCL, and the convention also approves that, and then it becomes binding on the leadership to implement that. So whatever plan we have around, or we want to have a leadership conference, and like, bro, the ideas are good, but we have to follow the protocol, the charter of communication in our church, make sure that it is endorsed by the church. So I tell you what, if the bishop of the LCA is not in on this conference, it's a zero deal because they're not going to move forward. No one single person when I get moved in the LCA and say, go and have conference, you get conference, America. Nobody going to come there because the bishop of the church does not approve of it. So you be working on your own. So the conference is important, but in order to have that, it got to be a collective effort of the church, both local congregations, parishes, institution, bishop, executive council. Everybody got to be on board in order to do this to be very much effective. You got, like, you see the parishes right now. You see parishes right now, they are carrying on different projects, right? They are implementing different projects at the different parish levels. And those projects are doing great. They're doing great. Why is the central administration struggling when parishes are doing great? How are we implementing our constitution, or how our parishes are supporting the LCL? And that's what I said. One of the things that we can attribute that to is also corruption. And I want to bring our attention to the student laptops in the LCL office.
Okay, hold on now. Don't join that. You know, don't join that. Yeah. Let me welcome our dear sister couple city. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I wouldn't know how to pronounce our last name. I will just leave it. So when I welcome our dear sister couple, welcome to the show. I think we're following the discussion. We're discussing the proposed national conference that we all been talking about. Papa again, we're discussing it. So before you come in, Reverend wanted to end his talk. That you come in, Reverend, the same question I asked Elijah. Sonny George said that the proposed conference will be taken with the function of the executive council. So what is your thought?
No, I don't think it's taking away the work, or it's like taking away the work of the executive council. It's just something that can that I think the executive council could even take advantage of, right? Um, and as Elijah said, nobody. It is just to propose something. If the leaders of the church against it, not, I mean, don't see it as anything important, it will never be implemented,
Yeah.
because you cannot leave from here and go host conference in Liberia without the bishop, no, without the leadership of the church, no. So all of these things we are saying is just like a proposal that we are saying, but I think it is a good idea that we meet and have discussion. It is not about somebody taking somebody's position, or a group of people taking some another group position. That is not it. We are all just thinking and wondering, and thinking how we can be able to re-strengthen ourselves as a national church. So if ideas come that we think can be able to move the church forward, I think it is something that we should all embrace, and not put a stumbling block to it to say, oh, these are the people responsible for such things, and we know that it can never work without them. So all that we are saying is a proposal. It's not something that is binding. And
Yeah.
it's the suggestion whether it would be accepted by the national. I mean, by the national church. That when I say the national church is the leaders of the church to implement the suggestion, or to embrace the suggestion and implement it, is another thing. So all that we are saying is just about things. The same thing I said, that somebody has something in his head and he brought it forth. Now we're talking about it. It was not you that brought it. It was not me that brought it. It was somebody else that brought about the whole thing. And I think the both all of us are on this panel right now. We decided to on this show right now decided to, I mean, to embrace it. I think it is a good idea. We can talk about it. And now, as we talk about it, it should be talked about by the leaders of the church. If they accept it and embrace it, then we can be able to move forward. But if they don't accept to embrace it, then we there's no way that we can do about it. Nothing,
Yeah.
right? So that is it. It's not about taking somebody's position. It's just about bringing forth some knowledge and things to see how best we can restructure and re-strengthen ourselves as a national church. What will help us to be able to improve ourselves? What are some of the things we can do? What is lacking? We can
Mm,
brainstorm. Yeah, I think
okay.
that's the only thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think I will have to head up now. I have something else to do. So just John, I told Elijah before joining,
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
and
That
I
point.
also want to say you're welcome to my graduation this coming
Yeah.
Sunday.
Jab.
Uh,
Jab. Before you
uh,
leave, Jab talk a little bit about your upcoming graduation before our sister come in. Yeah. Jab.
okay.
You know.
I have like completed all of my academic works, and I'm sitting now waiting to see this coming Sunday. Uh, the graduation, and then after the graduation, the same month I will be returning back home to see how what I can contribute to my church as a person, what to apply what I have learned here, and not to sit down and just bury them. No.
Yeah.
So basically, this coming Saturday is Baglari service at 2 o'clock. I will try to get a link um, for the graduation, and I will share it to all of the children, those who want to follow the both the Baglari and the graduation. Um, it will be a good thing to do. The time is uh, 2 o'clock Central Time and Chicago time, and then that is like 7 o'clock in Liberia, 7 p.m. in Liberia. So I will just uh, share a link. Those who want to follow the entire program, you can be able to do so through the link, and you can also find it on YouTube through the same link. You can get it through YouTube. Yeah. So that's how it will be like.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
On behalf of the network, we want to extend our best wishes to you and congratulate you uh, on your graduation from the seminary. I think you are brought pride not only to you but to every one of us. We are
Yeah.
very proud of your achievement, and we're going to have you in our prayer. Even have you embark on your journey back to Liberia. And a
Yeah.
good thing that you're part of the network, you are being the face of the network, and
Mhm.
the network, and we'll see in that whether my Lutheran connection will be represented to the graduation on Saturday.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
talk we'll talk behind the scene
Okay.
and, as a team. But we are
Okay.
proud of you and thank you for the achievement. We kind of celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too, and thank you for the invite. And I'm grateful that you invited me today to share my thought on this platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Bye bye.
our dear sister couple.
Hi, brother.
Yeah. So
Great conversation.
this is the discussion. So what are your thoughts? Let me tell when it comes to the proposed national Lutheran conference, there are other arguments on the other side that the church already have a convention. So what's the deal of having a national conference again when the church can have a convention to discuss the issue? So why do we need a new national conference again? So what you say on it?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Toto. And I want to apologize for coming on late. And I also want to appeal that I won't stay long. As soon as I'm done, I will drop the line. Yes. But concerning the national conference, like Reverend said, it is just everybody just talking it. Everybody just saying it. But we haven't gone to the church leadership or proposed that to them officially and say, oh, yes, this is what this group want to do? First of all, who are those that want to have the conference? Who are those people to have the conference? I heard Elijah talking about the procedure, the bureaucracy in getting things done. But for me, I think when those who are discussing the conference meet with Bishop or do an official communication to Bishop's office, and that communication is taken to executive council meeting, and once the executive council agree, I don't think we need to carry to convention again. But my thought is, what are those things we are going to discuss at this national conference? Is it different from LCL convention, what was discussed at LCL convention? Is it a new ideas that we all bringing together, or is it the same old thing? So these are things that we should be looking at. I wholeheartedly embrace the conference once it is well organized and the bishop's office accept it, executive council accept it. Um, 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 for me, I don't think it's a bad idea because we are seeing the way our church is going, especially the central administration. You talk about parishes, yeah, parishes are doing good. Parishes are building. So what happened with central office? What is our quota? What happened with parishes quota to support the central office? What happening? Why the central office is just dormant? How do we pay our bishop? How do we raise money to pay him? Do we care about it? So I think these are things that we should be looking at. But until then, until this whole conference issue be properly discussed and it be proposed to the bishop's office and being accepted by the executive council, I think we are all just saying our own thing because I don't think there is any committee for that. They are not have any meeting for that. So those who are proposing it and those who want to be part of it, I think it is better we really look at it and put our time to it. If we really think that we want to do it, we can do it. I don't think executive council will be so cruel to pull on hot or to stop it and say, "Oh no, we will not accept it." No, once it is in the interest of the church, I think we all should wrap our head around it and see how best the whole conference thing can be really organized. Even if it doesn't happen, I know it won't happen this year. We can take the whole end of this year to plan, and next year we come up with something and see. Like yesterday, I was monitoring the chat when I saw Reverend Addison asking who sponsor the conference. We don't need people to sponsor it when we are serious. Once we are serious, we don't need people to sponsor our conference
So
ourselves.
yeah, so
Yeah,
couple that was the next
okay.
so
But just
that's the next point, couple.
asking it to the best of our
Couple can
ability.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just interrupt you quick. That was the next point I'm coming to come on. If the conference wants to be successful to be here, who's going to sponsor the cost of the conference? So these are some of the concerns that are being raised, Elijah, by people. First of all, couple, let me just give you a little point of information when it comes to the people that propose the conference. When we host Sister Goya on the show some time ago, and Sister Goya, the one that spoke about the proposal, there's a need for national conference to discuss a lot of issues affecting the church, irrespective of the regular national convention that can be held every year. So based upon that, we are as a network, we are there proposing the idea, and also too there's a chat room that been established already. We'll have group of people who are express interest to host for that conference to be held, for them to share ideas and things in that chat room. So a proposal can be put together that be sent to the bishop office for review and approval. So there were it is right now. So Elijah, you wanted to come in.
I'm not like to couple's point, what she was saying, she's right. Like the issue of who's supposed to sponsor the conference. And when we talk about taking ownership, the LCA is at a crossroad. So when we talk about taking ownership of our church, this is where we prove that. If we say we want to host a national conference that will help shape the direction of our church, and we, like Reverend Michael clearly stated what couple was just saying and what we were saying, like we create a documentation with clear objectives and goals and rationale and what we want to achieve at the end of the day about this conference. I think we should start taking steps in that direction. And we take ownership of it. When I say take ownership, I'm not saying people should sit down in Liberia and look at the Americans, Lutherans, and say, because they're in the America and they propose the conference, so they should host the conference and fund the conference. No, this should be a holistic or the national church issue that
Yep.
the delegates from different parishes. It's just not a convention, but we requesting experts from parishes and preaching points that you trust that can make some decision for the LCL. Those are the people we're looking for to come to this conference. Your local parish can sponsor the people they're sending. Okay, people coming from America can buy your own plane ticket and go to Liberia because we are showing to the world and other institutions that we are ready to take ownership of our church. Our church is at the crossroad. Who can operate our church other than ourselves? If we do not take steps and just look at the leadership of the church, the bishop is the leader of the church. But if the bishop does not have the resources to run the church efficiently, you see the bishop as being lazy or he's not working. And if the bishop is the bishop and others within the LCL, they're not working with the bishop, again, there will be lapses in his administration. So there's got to be a collective effort of all Lutherans get on board, and then we develop a strategic document that will define the road that this conference is going to play and the expected outcome of this conference. It's very key if we want to achieve it.
Okay. Elijah, you want to you want to recognize our guests?
Oh yeah, I've been throwing people up on the screen there that are following and making comments, but I will just go over what I'm seeing right now. We have our brother Bam, Bima Dougley watching from Waytown. We also have Reverend Eric Dole. He's following us from Singa. We have brother Malubar, David K. Malubar, who's following us as well. We have Brother Ernest Bosi. Brother Ernest Bosi, is he showing up there? Come on, Ernest. All right. We have Brother Ernest Bosi, who's also following us from Rowerfield Highway. We have Wester P. Collins. He's also following us from Gay Town. You guys see Wester Collins? Yeah, he's following us from Oral Gay Town. And we have our own pastor, the pastor, from a BE from the central administration. He also following, and he contributed to the conversation as well, stating the proposed conference properly coordinated with the office of the bishop, clearly identifying objectives and goals of such a conference, and is stated in all written rationale can be the pathway to aid in the LCL to move forward, and it cannot be rejected by any Syria episcopacy. The LCL, the fact that the current episcopacy has continued to reach out to Aliyah makes such a national conference expedient, to make such a national conference expedient. So that's his contribution, and he came back to say congratulations to Reverend Smoke Cocker. Everybody is saying congratulations to him. and welcome back home. So that's it so far for those that are following and some people who made comments on the show, and we want to say continue following the show, and we are still here. I know we'll be rounding down shortly because we passed 1 hour now, so that'll
Yeah,
turn it back
yeah,
to you.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you to our viewer out there for the comment. The line, why was it trying to wrap things out? The line is open if you want to call in. You want to contribute by phone. You are welcome. So Elijah, we try to wrap all this, but let me just in the next 30 seconds, or you were trying to jump into the topic that I didn't want to diverge from immediately.
Hmm.
I know when it comes to accountability, it's also part of the proposed national conference.
Yes.
Uh, you cannot talk about accountability. You don't talk about the proposed conference. So those are things that the conference going to address.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about corruption accountability issue from central office in terms of the laptop. So what is the news surrounding that laptop issue? Because I remember also a time ago when Bishop was on the show, or Bishop said that the case was supposed to be resumed back to the police station. I think the people that are involved were supposed to go back to the police station for questioning. I think the treasurer Welling also halted the process. Uh, do you have any idea how far we are right now when it comes to that?
Thank you. Data total, I cannot tell you on how far the case is right now, but I know that when the situation happened, the police, the bishop invited the police to investigate what happened as to whether there was a burglary on the compound, and the police came clearly and stated that from their investigation, nobody burglarized the compound. There was no break-in, based on the fact that the office was not broken into, but the laptop went missing. So it is a very controversial thing, and I know that few staff of the central administration, they were taken in at the police station for questioning. So based on that fight, um, the police advised the bishop to do a thorough investigation for people to investigate the people in the office, and so people can say something. And I think that has been on hold. I think the bishop is waiting for his own appropriate time that he will get involved with that investigation of those who stole the laptop. And like you say, that Pastor Mangay has been very vocal about the investigation of people who stole the laptop, which is not Christian. It's not a Christian-like thing for somebody to steal the church's property, and if they did, they have to return the church's property. Um, because like you and I, we work in corporate organizations in America. Information breach in this country is very huge. It breaks down institution, especially when you are dealing with people's information. And we're talking about pension laptops. These computers carry the names of pastors, the date of birth, their personal identifiable information in those computers. So if somebody took them and took it somewhere, there's a high propensity of forging somebody's identity and somebody pretending to be somebody and committing crime somewhere that might be on another person who's completely innocent. Like we know, like people stealing people identifying information in America. Yeah, it happened a lot, and it's not good for people. So for the bishop to investigate this, I think is very much crucial as well, to his quest for accountability and transparency, to the LCL, as he's promised to bring the LCL back to status quo. So justice must prevail. It shouldn't be business as usual when people commit crimes or people who commit crimes within the church, they should be held responsible. So what I can say, I think steps
But
has been taken by the office of the bishop to investigate the situation. But how is that process going now? I can tell you where the case is or what have they
so,
done to retrieve the laptops. I can say
so
that.
Elijah, I'm trying to make sense of this.
Mhm.
I'm trying to make sense of the whole laptop issue that got messy. Now, my concern is if the police, if the police report or they give a report that no burglary occur at the office,
Mhm.
and then my question is, so that means somebody just took the laptop and walk away with it, or what really happened? Was it the office were unlocked? And I'm trying to understand some of the critical aspect of it to make a rational decision. If the
Yeah.
police
Yeah.
report can say this,
Yeah.
and
Because
then
you see the BA is saying exactly the delay in the November 2024 alleged burglary is critical, like I just stated. So the issue here is that a total the reason the police came up with the conclusion that there was no burglary on the compound is that you have a 2,000 plus USD lying in the cover where the laptops were. So if somebody who went to steal, when you have a huge sum of money in there, but the person chose not to take the money, but rather,
just
but,
a lap.
but rather just took the computers and went away with the computer. So what's the rationale? What does that say about that situation? So if I went to steal, do I want to take a material thing or do I want to take the money that
Take the
is
cash.
easy to carry? So that's the reason why the police concluded that the situation was internal, and Bishop should launch an internal investigation and then try to find out who did the act, and especially with the people associated with those office.
So
Okay,
the
with those
bishop,
office. Yeah.
do you have any idea, or do you know if the bishop ever said any kind of special commission to investigate internally what happened?
And I think I don't think so. That's why you see the BA who was part of this leadership who just left. He said exactly the delay in the November burglary investigation is crucial because I think it has been delayed, and that's why he keeps talking about it. That there's something needs to be done. So the bishop needs to take some steps in investigating and bring it to bed. When we talk about information sharing, we've been talking about the bishop office being very effective in communication and information sharing with the church. And we talk about transparency and accountability. And this is another test to Bishop Patmos administration. Because if you came to power and told the church that you're going to be transparent, you're going to be very focused on accountability of the church's property, and you started that on day one by establishing this oversight committee called the Access Review Committee for the LCL, when people were being, um, people were being called to order for missing funds of the LCL. You took people to jail, all right. But if you're not bringing these investigations to bed and let the LCL know that we identified this thing as a problem, we took this step, and this is where the problem is currently. How do you expect people to know that the office of the bishop is working on these issues, right? So part of your leadership is to be transparent and accountable to the people that you are leading. But if you leave doubts in the minds of people think that you're not working. People think that you're not living up to your premise. And when people start developing doubts, yeah.
On the issue of the computer,
hmm
if the case is in the police here for investigation, we don't know how long the investigation have
The
taken.
case is not
How
in the
long?
police yet. Like
If
I
the case
stated,
is in, they went for the police station to answer question, right? So that basically the police here.
No,
So
they went
I
to the
thought,
police station. Listen now, that I told you. Let me correct myself. They went to the police station when it happened. The police invited them, people involved in those offices.
yeah.
Police invited them to the police station to when they answer questions. And then the police came on site and did their own investigation as well. All right. The investigation has not been concluded or has been, I don't know what, let me see that the I think Reverend Mikey just posted something here. He said the police have not concluded its
Yeah,
investigation.
so
It's
that's
the
it.
regional, okay, oh wait now, it's the regional guard security services that investigated, and it is finding it and its findings said that there was no evidence or proof that an outsider or an intruder entered the office, or recommended that the finance office should be thoroughly investigated. The police have continued to investigate this matter since November. Okay, so I was
So
getting the
so so
I
so
think
so
the
that so that
police.
so that's why Elijah,
Yeah.
that's
So
my
there are
point.
two.
So if the
Yeah.
police had not concluded that investigation, yeah, that be
Yeah.
the situation in law is over here. The bishop
Yeah.
cannot come out to talk about it or to set a special committee to investigate the case again because it's
No,
already
no, no, no.
already the police here. So the bishop
So
cannot do
my information was wrong with not knowing about the regional guard security that investigated previously, and then turned it over and made the recommendation that the office was not burst into, so there should be internal investigation. But the delay. Here's the thing that the office of the bishop is being held responsible because the situation happened in November of 2024. And up to now, if you took a case to the police station in November of 2024, and up to now, the starter of that case is not known, then what is happening? How are you pursuing this case? What's the status of the case? That's what I'm saying about the information dissemination of the bishop's office. So the bishop office got to be very effective because one of the core values of his administration, one of the core values that he stood on was transparency and accountability. So you want to keep people informed because you indicted a past administration for stealing from the LCL and for doing all of the wrong things. You called them out. So if something of such happened during your administration as a bishop, who stood on the ground of transparency and accountability, and in your administration, you have a crucial one security body came and said, nobody entered this office. We don't think that somebody broke in here. Your accountants and your financial people should be thoroughly investigated. Okay, you took the case to the police station in November of 2024. You took the case to the police station. What is the police telling you? And what are you communicating to the people in the office to let them know that this is what the police is saying? So if the police is still investigating, bishop office, have your press conference and say, look, this thing happened in my office and I take it seriously. And this is where the process is. And we're going to follow this process until we bring it to bed. The bishop have communicated. So you can use a Facebook post. You can use any means necessary to put your information out there.
So the bishop I want to show you some time ago. I did the last time watching the bishop. The bishop spoke on the same issue that we are discussing. The bishop said that the case is A with the police. In fact, one of the treasurer or had to attend a wedding. I think a wedding. And then after his wedding, you're supposed to come to proceed to the police station. So, Elijah, you there?
I'm here. One of my devices died.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that. Yeah, so
One of my devices died.
yeah, that's why I'm multitasking. But anyway, we try to wind down the show. You know, Bishop on the show some time ago. He spoke about that. And we hope to have him next one on the show. You get the last one in the month, where we can invite Bishop on the show, so we can try to question all the same issue we're discussing. And then we come also to the proposed National Lutheran Conference. We have a child in Mr. Goya, and I spoke yesterday. We trying to put a survey questionnaire together to ask some critical questions when we come to in regard to the proposed National Lutheran Conference. And that survey question will be shared with various stakeholders in various platform in my Lutheran connection also to so people can answer, can address some of the questions. So that survey question will give an idea of people or let's say I'm part of it also too, that we're trying to put the proposal together. So it will be a document that will not just be presented to the bishop office or maybe the executive council. It will be a document we share with people, so people can know and see, when it comes to the proposed conference that we're talking about. We all want the best for the church in Liberia, and we are seeing some of the struggle that the church going through, and when it comes to area that the church need help, most especially come to our own Lutheran University, where since for the establishment of the Lutheran University, we are seeing a struggle that the university have been going through. So we think that such a conference will help to address some of the issue and to see what support, what some of the knowledge, what some of the expertise that we have that we're going to be able to give to the institution back home, Liberia, either the church or maybe the Lutheran University. So there are a lot of things we want to do for the church, and through maybe a national conference, we able us to address some of the issues that are facing the church, Elijah. So, time and now I will start down. So, Elijah, I will ask you to give us your closing statement, and then when I will come and then I will take off home.
Thank you, Dr. Toto. I might have a little bit of a delay in if you hear me breaking through because I just switched to another device. The other one went down. But like I want to conclude by saying, I always say that information dissemination from the bishop's office is very crucial. And the bishop, when he was about to host um, the 165th anniversary of the LCL in Banga, I saw that he had this brief press conference with the media team and just talking about the upcoming conference. If Bishop can just keep up that tradition um, to address critical issues within his administration on a monthly basis or on a bi-weekly basis, just tackle some of those things that people have doubts in their minds about, and just talk about them. Because the more people are not leveraging the power of the social media. Social media is very powerful. If you use social media to the best of your ability, people will see what you are doing. Look at what the little guy, the guy in Liberia called himself JMB's son. What he's doing, he moves around with his camera, highlighting projects that the president is doing around the country. See how much people are gravitating towards his page and following what the government is doing. He's leveraging the power of social media to change the narrative of people in the country to focus on what the president is doing and don't pay attention to all of the negativities out there that the government is doing so much that others may not be seeing. There are other people who just scroll on Facebook and entertaining themselves. But when you come across this guy's page, now you got to see all of the projects the government is doing. Why can't we do the same in the LCL? Establish a genuine page for the LCL, maybe you leverage my Lutheran connection. You able to go live on my Lutheran connection every other week or every month and just speak about critical issues in the church, your administration, things that you are going through. You go through the struggle to go through to the southeast and back, navigating the country and just serving all of your districts and parishes, the challenges that you're going through and things that you are accomplishing. You're not making a full report, but just highlight things that you are doing. That way, people are informed. Like the issue of the burglary on the LCL compound. This is something that people keep talking about. And this is your administration. This is something you want to leave the office of the bishop with a legacy. What is that one thing that when Bishop Palmer leaves office today, we can say, yes, Bishop Palmer was on top of his game. This is what he did. This is what he did. He consistently informed the LCL of things that he was doing. And look, lastly, to put to bed everything, and I hope he will listen and try to take steps in the direction to do some of these things. And then lastly is the issue of the conference. The conference is crucial, but we as Lutheran, we have to own the process. We have to own the process from start to end. Thank you, Dr. Toto.
Thank you, Elijah. And also want to a special thank you to our viewer and listening audience out there. Want to say thank you for tuning in to another edition of our podcast. And we thank you for your support. Those that commented in our chat room, want to say thank you for your comment. And those that came later on cannot read your comment, we say sorry, that's how we read your comment. And we had a very good discussion. When it comes to the proposed National Lutheran Conference that Elijah spoke of, this is a conference that is dear to the heart of a lot of Lutheran, looking at some of the problems the church faces today. And we believe that that can be addressed through a national conference. So we have a team already been put together, good Lutheran members, both at home and in the diaspora. We'll be putting ideas together to put a draft proposal together. And like I said, we are working on a survey questionnaire that when we do on our survey questionnaire, that questionnaire will be put out. It's on various chat room about Lutheran Connection. If like Elijah said, if the Lutheran Church had an information site apart from our Lutheran Connection, if they have like a website and other places we can share the survey question there to them, so they can respond to some of the survey question. And I just saw in the chat room also to Reverend McGee were talking about focus group discussion. Also, that's how something that we're looking to also to whether we can have a team in Liberia to have a focus group discussion on with some of the various parishes across the country, so we can get their perspective. When we gather all these data, they will be able to do a good proposed document for the national conference, and will be able to submit to the office of the bishop or the executive council. But this is something that we're working on. It's not a rush issue or trying to rush it. We're taking our time to contact all the relevant stakeholders that are being involved in, because we want when the proposal hit the desk of the bishop and go through the executive council, they'll be able to approve it, and then they give the go-ahead for that conference to be started. Like some of the concerned people are raised, who's going to fund the conference? I don't think the kind of funding of the conference should be an issue, but the proposal will discuss all the things. I think Liberia Lutheran want to change. And the people will be responsible to put their weight, to put their idea, to put everything behind to make the conference be successful. That's the reason why we're not leaving them behind. We're trying to have a survey questionnaire, like a focus group that I mentioned, to get the people involved in. So when it comes to them, even I know our Liberian people, when they tell me support, even they are $10, even our mother that said the beta ball, that in the market, they will contribute pepper, they will contribute beta ball to make that conference to be a success. So we are working on it from behind the scene, and we'll try to do our best for this conference to be successful once accepted by the bishop office and the executive council. So we want to say thank you all to our viewer out there. Let's tune in for another edition that will be coming out next week, and we hope to get some incredible Lutheran that will come on here for to discuss Lutheranism and discuss issues that affected our church. Our host and our guest today could be Dr. Jara, but because one or two recent Dr. Jara could not be with us today, and we want to the courage to carry the show on, and also Reverend Kokoro, who came on And we want to say thank you for coming. And Reverend Cocker will be graduating this weekend. And then after graduation, you'll be heading back to Liberia. We want to wish you the best for your contribution to the network and also for your time in the U.S. to study. We want to wish you the best for he and his family. So Elijah, that's it there. You can take her home, and then we'll meet next week again for another edition of my Lutheran Connection.